Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mark Richt Show, brought to you by Williamson Automotive. Joe Zagacki alongside Don Bailey Jr. and University of Miami head coach Mark Richt will be joining us momentarily. Don, the Canes went on the road, had a very successful afternoon, beating Toledo 49-24, almost a flawless game.
It really was, and flawless in the sense that Miami was not tagged with any penalties. They did not have any sacks and 0 turnovers. When you have that type of statistic in a ball game, that trifecta, which I've never seen before, you know you're going to have a clean ball game and have a lot of success.
You know, a lot of people ask, why did Miami go on the road to Toledo? And I always thought this is a good thing for the Hurricanes. It's a good way to get tested in hostile surroundings at a place where they're going to call it their biggest game ever. And back in Miami's glory years, they went to places like East Carolina and Cincinnati. At the time, Virginia Tech would have fallen into that same category. They played at Virginia Tech. And so I think those games in those glory years help build up your toughness for bigger games. I think that's one of the purposes of this game.
Well, the other side of it is now, Joe, the athletic director side of it is these games cost $1 million, $1.5 million to bring that type of opponent in. So if you do a home and away series, it works out financially for you. But I really enjoy going there, and I'm with you. I think you learn a lot from going on the road. When Miami was at their historic best, they embrace the road games. And like you said, it didn't have to be at Ohio State or Michigan or Notre Dame, but you get better. You understand that you have to adapt to certain environments. You're facing a hostile home crowd, no matter what the size of it is, and it toughens you up, whether you have to deal with the crowd noise or whether you have to deal with the obstacles in the locker room before the game. But it's important to go on the road, and it's important for Miami to be strong and win on the road.
Canes came out with a flawless start, jumped out to a 21-0 lead, and really looked sharp doing it.
Yeah, they did, but the part that I was intrigued with, and you and I talked about it off the air in the booth, is the length of the drives in the running game. You know, we love the big plays with Jeff Thomas, and you love what Cager did, and DJ Dallas is what I like the most. 110 yards, his first 100-yard game. The fact that Miami was able to close the game out with the running game, and what I don't think people realize, or they seem to forget in this era, is if you have success running the football through the first 3 quarters, you really can take over the 4th quarter.
Hurricanes defense had 11 tackles for losses. Time now for our highlights, brought to you by Williamson Automotive, as we find out what happened when Goliath met David. Welcome back into the Mark Richt Show, brought to you by Williamson Automotive. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr., and University of Miami head coach Mark Richt, and the Canes coming off an impressive 49-24 victory over Toledo.
Well, yeah, we had the no penalties, which was interesting. That hadn't happened in about 20 years. I don't know if I've coached a game where there's 0 penalties, but And then some people say, well, what about the kickoffs that we had? But apparently those are a violation or something. They're not a penalty. But we did kick a couple out of bounds that they got the ball on the 35-yard line. But as it was, no penalties, no sacks, no turnovers. Offensively, real clean game. Ran the ball well. We're efficient throwing the ball. Had a couple deep shots. Those things were good. Our defense had multiple, negative yardage plays. We had, I think, 8 out of the first 24 plays were negative yardage plays, and just really gave them no chance to run the ball, smothered them there. The quarterback run really hurt us more than anything. And then, with Jaquan going down and Amari Carter not being there, we got really short. We got real thin at safety in a hurry, and that kind of got us a little bit too. Had a ball that a couple guys just about ran into each other defensively, and they sprang a guy for a touchdown. But, overall, it was a great game. We got tested. We started out with a good cushion, and then they started battling back like a great team would, and we're up 21-0. Then it goes 21-7, 21-14, and then the second half, and we go ahead and score, and then they score again somewhere along the way. I think the very next drive, get it within 7 again, and then we scored 2 or 3 more times and finish it defensively. So it was a good test for us. And somebody missed a field goal.
That's right. Back-to-back weeks, someone has missed field goals.
So we love that. We hadn't had that happen in a while.
Yep.
Coach, the value of the long drives, not just in the beginning of the game, but what happens when you wear them down throughout the game with those?
Yeah, we did, and we had a 12 and a 14 play drive for touchdowns, and a lot of that was running the ball. A lot of it was getting up 4 yards and getting another 4 yards, and then putting your fullback in there and hammering out another 3rd and short. We had some really manageable, 3rd down situations, or we might get a nice play on 1st down. It's 2nd and 1 or 2, and we just gave the ball to the back, and they blasted through for a 1st down, and it makes calling plays easier. But the line blocked well. In order to do that, that has to happen. But we did block better in the perimeter. Our receivers blocked better. Not quite what we want, because there were still some times where if we stick on a block a little bit longer, we're going to get some long touchdown runs. But we did better than the week before. Part of the reason we averaged 2.5 yards a rush in the first half last week was the perimeter blocking. We were getting beat outside. They were whipping us. Their corners and their nickel Sam linebacker type guys were just beating our guys, and it made it rough sledding there for a minute. But a lot better blocking and really good running, and everybody secured the ball, which was great.
This probably leads to a broader discussion, but you had some really big 3rd down plays, and I think you were 8 for 15 on 3rd downs. But 3rd down discussion in general, you're top 40 in converting 3rd downs and number 1 in holding teams on 3rd down. So that's a pretty good metric.
Yeah, we got a lot better in that area. That we started the season day 1 installation on 3rd downs. 3rd down short, 3rd down medium, 3rd down long, and red zone. High red zone, low red zone. Usually that you don't install that till, I don't know, day 5 or 6 or something like that when you have that many days in camp. But Coach Diaz and Coach Brown and Coach I discussed the whole thing and said, what were we not very good at? And we were not very good at 3rd down. So we just started putting those sticks out there to show the players the down and distance, and the fact that we were trying to make a 1st down, trying to stop a 1st down on defense. And so far it's paid off for us.
The other thing that's paid off is the tackle for loss. We hit on it a second ago, but Willis has made a huge difference on that front.
Oh, yeah. He
got a big smile.
No, we couldn't block him. We couldn't block him last year. So when he was working on the scout team last year, we couldn't block him. And he took pride in just terrorizing Coach Searles in the offensive line. But now everyone else has to deal with him. And I'm not shocked that he's disrupting so many things. And there was a play that they ran early in the game, and they decided to come back to it. But the first time Gerald was not in the game, and the second time he was in the game. When he was in the game, that thing was a negative yardage play. But we're glad we got it. But he's not the only one getting negative yards. It's an attitude. It's an attack mentality, and it's really it makes it so tough offensively. Now I'll give them credit. They were getting smothered, truly smothered. I mean, the first 6 drives were punts and went for it on 4th down and didn't make it. I mean, and then the 7th drive, I think it was the 7th drive of the first half, they knocked one in there, and then all of a sudden they found a way to get the ball out a little bit quicker and the quarterback run, and all of a sudden they put 24 on the board. So, a tribute to them to come back from getting pelted pretty good.
All right, we've got FIU coming up this week. It's Miami and FIU at Hard Rock Stadium. It's a 3:30 kickoff. We'll talk about that with University of Miami head coach Mark Richt next, right here on the Mark Richt Show, right after this. Happy to welcome you back on the Mark Richt Show, brought to you by Williamson Automotive. Joe Zagacki and Don Bailey Jr., of course, University of Miami head coach Mark Richt. This week it's Miami and FIU, a 3:30 kickoff, and be a lot of storylines swirling out there on this one. And how do you address that with your team?
Yeah, well, I already mentioned that, a lot of the story will be about Coach Davis and what he has done for the University of Miami. What a great coach and a great recruiter and just a great person. How he led this team and the fact that, we're playing another team that he's coaching. So, but I said, look, it's really about the opponent, the guys you're playing against. Coaches don't play. Coaches just on the sideline cheering them on and, directing them the best we can. But the reality is the players got to get the business done. And so you do what you always do. You watch tape, you look and see what they do, offense, defense, special teams. You put your schemes in, you get your scout team to simulate it the best they can, and then you go play ball and try to stay healthy while you're doing it.
Coach, there's a lot of players that played on the same team together or played across from each other, and while Miami and FIU is maybe not classified as a rivalry, there's going to be a big intensity factor in this game.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's guys are hyper competitive, and guys who know each other get even more competitive, and that's what happens sometimes in our scrimmages. You're going against each other all the time, and there's some battles in some of those just the scrimmages we have. Now all of a sudden, they're playing a real game, and there's a lot on the line, and pride's one of them, and so it's going to be interesting to see how they react. But I think both teams are coached very well. I think both teams are disciplined teams, and I don't think we'll have to worry about anything crazy. I'm sure there'll be a little chicken fighting here and there at the end of a play or something like that. But everybody will go back to the huddle and run the next play. And I think it's going to be a good, hard-fought, clean football game.
They're going to come in with some confidence. They scored 63 points the other night against UMass, 42 in one half. So
right.
They were hitting on all cylinders offensively.
Yeah, they moved the ball well. They're going to be a team that you've got to do a good job up front. That always starts up front. If we can, slow down some of the run game and put pressure on the quarterback and make it uncomfortable, we got a chance. But that's true of anybody we play, and it always starts, in my opinion, up front.
Coach, there's so much conversation between the improvement between week 1 and 2, and now let's just go between week 1 and 3. Now you go to 4. What do you look for out of your team going now into your 4th game?
Well, I know offensively we aren't sticking on our blocks long enough. We're blocking the right guys. We had a lot of really nice plays where everybody did exactly what they were supposed to do, and you see the results of it. Like the one touchdown where DJ Dallas popped through there, and I mean everybody got a perfect fit, and everybody and he hit the gap just right. And the receivers were blocking downfield, and bam, it's a beautiful looking touchdown. So, but there was times when not only we got our hat on the right people, but we gotta finish blocks. We got to get more movement. We got to stay on guys and in like I mentioned in the perimeter and get it to where not only we know what to do, we know how to do it, and we do it with energy, and that's what you want at all positions. You got same thing defensively. We must do a better job of containing a quarterback. We can't let the quarterback run on a designed pass play to kill us. We can't just cover everybody or do a good job in the back end, and then not have a way to get the guy on the ground from the pocket. So that'll be a big challenge for us too.
All right, Coach, the very best of luck against FIU. Miami and FIU on Saturday at 3:30. When we come back, Don and I will take a closer look at that matchup as we continue on the Mark Richt Show right after this. Welcome back to the Mark Richt Show, brought to you by Williamson Automotive. Joe Zagacki and Don Bailey Jr. Miami and FIU Saturday at 3:30 at Hard Rock Stadium. We'll have the call on the radio. And Don, FIU and Miami are going to renew this deal, and you got a lot of guys that have played against each other, played on the same team, whatever the case may be. So the emotions are going to be high.
This is a rivalry in my mind. I mean, it's really not one of the big three, so to speak, Miami, Florida State, or Miami, Florida, but because of the fact that you have so many guys that played high school together or played against each other in high school, it is going to be a competitive ball game. And the thing that we also have to remember is for many, many years, and even to this day, a lot of the FIU fans were rooting for the Hurricanes because FIU didn't have football. So you got some crossover there as well. I think it's a game that should be played. I'm excited about playing it. And then you have Butch Davis, who is an outstanding coach. He did a wonderful job here at the University of Miami. And you and I both know the conversation will be simple for Butch. Opportunity, and you guys have been disrespected, right? I mean, that's what it's going to be. He's going to get them amped up as high as he can. He will have them ready to play. They are well coached, and there is talent on the FIU football team.
All right, defensively, as we mentioned with Coach Richt, they probably will umbrella things and try to keep everything in front and force Miami to go down the field. That's the way he did it at Miami. That's the way he did it at North Carolina. It was not a big blitz team, maybe a little more at FIU. We'll see how that unfolds, but he's not going to want to let Jeff Thomas or somebody else get free for a quick one.
No, he's still running that Canes 43 defense that was famous around here for many, many years. And when you look at the talent that they have some outside speed. They're going to run the football. They're a zone team, and offensively and then defensively, Butch Davis is going to have them understanding one thing: pursue the football, pursue the football, pursue the football, and he'll have them ready to play.
They switched quarterbacks, went to James Morgan, a kid who's transferred in from Bowling Green. He's throwing the ball around pretty good for him.
He really is, and you look back at his career, and he had a very successful high school career, did well at Bowling Green as well, and he gives them some experience at that spot, and he understands the game, and they've got enough of a running game to help him out, and their offensive line is better than advertised.
Two keys, I think, come into this game also where Miami has excelled, and that is they're winning third down right now in a big way, both sides of the ball, so that will be important. And then, of course, break out that turnover chain. Miami, they get that turnover chain out a few times, it really swings the momentum, especially at Hard Rock Stadium.
Well, you know, Joe, when you think of the game last week at Toledo, you and I are watching a boxing match go back and forth, and then the takeaway came by Trajan Bandy, and you just saw people start heading towards the exit. You mentioned it during the broadcast. You see a different attitude from Toledo, and that has an effect, and Miami's created such hysteria over it that it does have a mental effect on the opponent as well.
All right, very much looking forward to it. Miami and FIU at Hard Rock Stadium, a 3:30 kickoff. For Don Bailey Jr. and University of Miami head coach Mark Richt, I'm Joe Zagacki. We'll see you next time right here on The Mark Richt Show.